Hi everyone, this video will discuss one of a research techniques called observation. Let's start with the case example. One of the magazine called Australian Women's Weekly Magazine, they use observation technique. They use anthropological technique where individual women were followed around and their activities and conversation recorded on film. So they wanted to see the behavior, they wanted to see the expectation, what are they looking for. And again, using observation really helped this magazine in successfully reposition this magazine. What is observation? Observation is a systematic process of recording the behavioral patterns of people, object, and occurrence as they are witnessed. So no questioning, you're not doing any intervention or communicating with people. You just observe what is happening in the field. When is observation become scientific? Observation becomes a tool for scientific inquiry when actually it serves a formulated research purpose. So you have to have a clear purpose. Why are you doing an observation? And also it's planned systematically. And also you should have a systematic recording tools and related to general proposition rather than simply reflecting a set of interesting curiosity. So you have to have a well-prepared tools in order to measure observation scientifically. And also is subjected to checks or controls on validity and reliability. You have to know what you are actually observing. And again, not everything can be observed. What can be observed? It's a wide variety, the behavior of people and objects, and used to describe, again, a wide variety of behavior, cognitive phenomena such as attitude, motivation, and preferences. Sometimes cannot be observed. You got to be careful with that. And the observation period is also generally of a short duration. And again, not everything can be observed. You got to make sure that it's objective. These are some of the examples what actually can be observed. Let's pick a few. For example, physical action. You can observe, a shopper's movement pattern in a store. For example, if they go to a supermarket, do they go alley by alley or they go randomly? So that helps you pretty much understanding how shoppers behave in a supermarket. Another example, expressive behavior, facial expressions, tones of voices, and other forms of body language. If consumers are angry, is consumer are happy, I think you can see through facial expression. Another example, temporal patterns. If you wanted to measure how long fast food customers actually wait for their orders to be served. And again, these are some of the examples, and it got to be obvious that it actually can be measured in an observation study. So the nature of observation study, you have human observation versus mechanical observation. The key is unobtrusive, visible observation versus hidden observation, meaning sometimes the people know that you are actually watching them, or sometimes they don't know that you are watching them. And data do not have distortion, inaccuracies, or other response biases. Observation of human behavior. This is basically observation of non-verbal behavior. For example, you are working for a large toy companies and you wanted to know how these children actually interact. Do they like it? How long they actually playing around with the toys? This example, toy manufacturers use observation because children cannot express their reaction to products, but their behavior can. If they're happy, they like it, they play longer. If they're unhappy, they just throw and leave the toys. How long does the child's attention stay with the product? How long until the child puts the toy down? Are the child peers equally interested in the toy? So these are some of the behavior that you can observe that would be very helpful if you wanted to launch a new toy products. You can also have observation of human behavior. For example, you wanted to explore non-verbal communication, status and power gesture between people of equal status. You wanted to observe between people of unequal status or between men and women. Let's pick one, for example. Between people of unequal status, you wanted to see the posture. Are they sort of relaxed or tense? Personal space, very close or distant. What about the eye gaze? Is it stare? Do they look in the eyes or ignore? And again, in terms of facial expression used by the superior, do they smile or not smiling? So these are some of the observation that you can definitely use and helps your research objective. You can also have direct observation. This is pretty much a straightforward attempt to observe and record what naturally occurs. Investigators plays a passive role and does not create an artificial situation. And an observation keeps observation consistent. For example, a researcher wanted to explore how many beers people usually drink in one visit, and then they just sit there and then watch and then pretty much count how many beers they get it. What are they doing if they are coming with friends? Do they drink more or do they drink less? And this is one of the ways using direct observation. You also have scientifically contrived observation. Contrived observation is when investigator intervenes to create an artificial environment in order to test a hypothesis. Contrived situation reduce the research time spent waiting and observing a situation. For example, mystery shoppers, someone from the company, they wanted to measure how friendly the staff are, how fast they serve. So they engage in the mystery shoppers. They pretend to be a shoppers and then interact with the staff. And then they can observe the behavior of the staff. They can observe the response from the staff. You can also do observation of physical objects. This is physical traces evidence. Is a visible mark of some past event or occurrence. For example, you can observe where on library books to determine books most read. Erosion traces on museum floor tiles to determine most popular exhibits, or Campbell soup cans in the rubbish. For example, in a museum floor tiles, you can see if it's a popular exhibit. Maybe you wanted to move to a different places with a bigger space, so it doesn't it's not going to be very crowded. So you can also look if you wanted to explore garbage. When people say I'm eating healthy, but again, you can look at their rubbish whether what they're saying is actually true. So observation of physical objects also one of a good observation approach if you wanted to look at physical evidence. You can also have another form of observation is content analysis. Content analysis is the systematic observation and quantitative description of the manifest content of communication. Content or messages of advertisement, newspaper, article, television program. For example, you want to do a study on frequency of appearance of women or minorities in mass media. How many times they're mentioned, how many times they appear in a particular magazine, and again, another example, whether advertisers use certain themes or appeals more than others. So you look at the content of a magazines, a newspaper, and now you can explore blogs. You can also now mechanical observation. Mechanical observation means of observation can be mechanical or human. An example include video cameras and traffics. How many car actually go breaking the law in a traffic flow. Another example, television monitoring. Allstem estimate national television audiences. They use electronic boxes hooked up to television set to actually capture program choices, length. Do people change during a commercial break and identify and identity of viewers? Also monitoring website traffic, how long people spend on a particular page, which part that they like to click, which part that they ignore, and this basically you have a good mechanical observation. You can also have, this is the last one, which is measuring physiological reaction. Four major categories of measurement devices. And now you can use eye tracking monitors to observe eye movement. For example, you want to explore, where do people see on a particular website? Do people actually pay attention on the advertising that they put on the right, or they just ignore that? Using eye tracking monitors, you can see the eye movement and actually investigate which part, which section that people actually pay attention on a particular site. This is very useful, especially if you wanted to know whether, if you wanted to know the effectiveness of your advertising on your website. Another tools is pupillometers. They used to observe and record changes in the diameters of a subject's pupils. And psychogalvanometer measures galvanic skin responses, nervousness, people are upset. And also you have voice pitch analysis, records abnormal frequencies in the voice that reflect emotional reaction. You can also have now, with the latest technology, functional magnetic resonance imaging, using newest innovation in observation research. Sometimes now reveal which part of the brain are active in real time. Let's say a respondent shown a different advertising, and then they can observe which part of the brain actually activate. So these are examples of different forms of observation. And again, you got to look what is your objective, and then match, can I address my research objective using observation technique? Thank you.